Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm writing. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Hey, that is a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back.
I know it looks a little different, but I promise you, it's Sideline to Sideline. Hello, everybody. It's Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here on the NeuroGuard Plus Sideline to Sideline special edition. As with it being a short week as far as the amount of games, you might have noticed already. This is one big show, kind of like how we get when we get into the playoffs around the semifinals. But that's just because there's just so little amount of games this week. And then also Grant, as you can tell through the computer, is at home at the Louisville studio. And so I was very lazy today and decided I'm not going to flip the set. So it's outdrank the coverage, sideline to sideline. Either way, it's what we always do, having some fun.
Mixing today.
Yeah, a little mixer. Hey, we're going to be having a mixer Saturday. Speaking of, the L4 family's getting together. Grant Goodwin and intern Noe the Pro and I are going to watch some college football all day. We're going to eat some good food and have some milk. We only drink milk and take our vitamins and say our prayers. And we're actually going to...
Oh, y'all aren't invited then. I'm sorry. I thought this was a different kind of party.
This is a key party. But so what we're going to be doing, though, is we're going to be watching football, but we're going to throw up some on Patreon, some instant reactions for our college show, just kind of as we watch the game. Specifically, of course, Texas and Florida, probably A&M. And then might just kind of roll at the night games with the mics open and just kind of see what we can pull down from that and put up legally that won't get us in any trouble. But other than all of that, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How about you? Ready for week 6?
Ready for week 6. I just hope it is better. First off, I want to say this. It was enjoyable to go see Stephenville's new stadium. And we'll go ahead and talk it all since we're doing a whole show. We'll go ahead and talk the trip now. We went to Stephenville to watch Stephenville versus La Vega. Their stadium is absolutely fabulous. The hospitality is top notch, and we also got the fortune to be in basically what they call the scout room, and it was just me, you, and good old Matt Stepp. So that part of the night was a blast. Matt, we got to just sit and talk football for 3 hours, and mainly we got to sit and talk football for 3 hours because there was a bloodletting on the field. My God, what Stephenville did to La Vega is like illegal in 10 states.
Yeah. We made the mistake of thinking this is probably going to be a pretty good game. And then we know what happens when we start proclaiming before kickoff that this is going to be a slobber knocker. It's usually not. Granted, we only had to drive 2 hours this time. Usually it's a 4 to 6 hour drive. We go down to see a half.
Yeah. And, and we were told that, that La Vega's going through some injuries and that it kind of felt like La Vega maybe was just kind of going through the motions in the game, and it kind of felt like that. But also, to be fair, I think Stephenville wins that game 10 times out of 10, and probably it's bad scores every time. Stephenville looked really, really good.
Yeah, they did. So physical up front. We'll talk about that one, I guess, in the 4A show, though, right?
Yes, sir. And again, we're doing all one show tonight, so we're going to start with the 2A. That does mean one thing. That means the 2A is going to get to, I don't know if this is an honor or a punishment, but we usually don't unleash Coach X onto the 2A crowd until the playoffs. So they're getting a little 2A. Now, he didn't pick any.
Can I answer that question? It's a definite punishment.
It's a punishment.
Yeah, it's a screwdriver to the eardrum.
That's what people might say about us. But anyway, so Coach X, if you don't know, 2A is a real coach. He coaches at one of the levels that we talk about, 4A, 3A, and 2A. And so he likes to write in with musings, and then on some of the 4A, 3A games, he'll make little jokes. He'll do it during 2A too when we get to the playoffs. But here's his opening salve, and boy, he's putting the screws to you. Well, or your mom. Here you go. You have no idea how good it feels when I am. Oh, dang. Sorry. I thought I was writing a direct message to Grant's mom. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. I guess I could have just hit delete or backspace. But man, that sentence is all the way up at the top of the email. So I don't think I will. Anyway, it's showtime, which is funny because that's what I say to Grant's mom when I close the door. On with the picks and the best 8 words in podcast history. Let's see what Coach X has to say.
See, so I thought we called a truce. Yeah, we called a ceasefire, and he never ceased fire. So, look, I can actually disappear into my background now. See, look.
Your ghost. Oh, is this like your dad did? That's why Coach X is around. No, he was having fun with that last night on the Monday night show because he could do like 50s 3D when he reached out. It makes your hand like you're going through the screen. But anyway, so that's Coach X. And so let's get on with it. Let's start with, let me pull them up. We have our 2A picks and review. If you don't know, first time you've watched or heard us, this is Sideline to Sideline. We cover 4A, 3A, and 2A football in the great state of Texas. And the way we do that is we review the last week, we preview the week that is, and we're going to start with 2A reviews. And I want to start with what was a very good game, and that, of course, Shelbyville and Carlisle 30s. Well, wait, what's the score? I couldn't see that. It disappeared on me.
38-34, Shelbyville outlast Price Carlisle. Shelbyville's quarterback, Gavin McDonald, had another huge game, 15-24 for 171 yards passing.
You know, we've talked about Shelbyville's offense, and we thought it was going to be a focal point. They had struggled early, and saying that, they'd struggled against really good teams, and it felt like this was kind of a breakout game for them. And for Price Carlisle, no shame in this loss to a great Dragon team, or great Dragon offense specifically.
Yeah, that defense, though, gives up the 171 yards passing to McDonald, and then Ronnie Williams goes 30 carries for 197 on the ground. So that Shelbyville offense is clicking. So, you know, I don't know that I take too much stock in, Carlisle's defense has to get better. Shelbyville's just clicking offensively.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. Look at Anson. You know, I did a show last week with you being out. I had talked to the different region guys, and we talked to Cody Coyle from Big Country Blitz. And, you know, we kind of talked about this game and stuff, and off the air and on the air, and he was like, I really feel like that, Anson has a real good chance to win this game. And lo and behold, they did, 20-6, a defensive slugfest.
Anson might be the best team in Region 1 right now.
Well, and they held Albany scoreless till that fourth quarter. I mean, it was either 14-0 or 20-0 before Albany scored points. That Albany we knew offense, and they had started out strong, but we knew offensively they were going to struggle at times. And boy, through the air, they only threw for 31 yards. That's not a big shock. When's the last time you've heard that Albany only runs for 50 yards on 26 carries, 1.9 yards per carry? The other thing is even though Anson didn't score a ton of points, they didn't give Albany many chances to have the ball on the night. They ran for 26. They threw for 15. So they basically had 31 or 41 plays offensively. I don't care what offense you are. If you're only getting 41 plays in a game, you're probably going to lose that game.
Yeah, man, Anson's just got it going. They're 5-0. That defense, I doing show research this weekend, I didn't really particularly pay attention to Anson's defense the first 4 games of the season, but you got to think that their points per game is pretty low allowed.
Panhandle, they pitched the shutout 41-0 over Wellington. Not surprised by the score.
But I mean, Wellington's a pretty darn good football team.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I'm sorry. I meant to say I'm not surprised by who won the game. I am surprised that Panhandle held them scoreless after Panhandle had some struggles giving up points. And this Wellington team came into the game. They'd scored 57, 48, and 44. And so, again, not surprised by the win for Panhandle, just surprised how they did defensively.
Yeah. How about Coahoma, 35, Wink 14? Coahoma's playing pretty well right now. I think Coleman has one loss, or are they undefeated? I think they might be undefeated. I can't remember.
Let me look it up real quick.
It's no more than 1 loss, though.
Big win for them. And we had talked, again, that's another one we had talked about on the regional shows that I had done. And that was one of the games that we pointed out as the Bulldogs on the year are waiting for the internet. The just perfect time when the internet, for no reason, just gets really slow.
Yeah. Well,
they had a big, this is a big win for them. This is a team I kind of remember us talking about during the preseason as a team to watch. Yeah, they're 5-0 right now in 3A.
Yeah.
And again, they are a 3A team, but still beating them 35-14. That's pretty impressive.
Yep. How about Lovelady 51, Tenaha 0? Lovelady's now 5-0, and I know Tenaha's a little bit down right now, but just putting up half 100 on Tenaha and just shutting them out, man. Lovelady, had a pretty good year last year. Might be even better this year.
Well, they've already got quality wins over Garrison, 41-34. They beat Timpson 2 weeks ago in week 2, 40-19. So they've already had some impressive wins.
That Garrison win is their signature win right now, though.
Oh, I totally agree, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Munster 47, DeLeon 16. Munster's quarterback Kason Carney throws for 204 yards and runs for 145.
I thought De Leon was going to win. I thought Munster was going to win the game, and they were going to win it comfortably. But I got to admit, I thought De Leon would move the ball more on Munster simply because one of the weaknesses for Munster this year, especially when they're going up against certain teams, is they're not the biggest team. And I thought De Leon and Coach Carney thought, and you can, by the way, hear a Munster coach's show each and every week here on the network, though this week there is no show because it's a bye week. But he even thought, okay, we're going to get – we're gonna have some times where we're gonna just have some bad matchups. There's nothing we could do about it, but they still was able to control the De Leon offense, and that's a good De Leon offense.
When's the Kraut Bowl? That one's coming up, right? Against Lindsay, Munster, and Lindsay. That's here in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah, well, everything now is in the next few weeks with how quick this damn.
Well, yeah, that's true. We're almost we're going to get to playoffs before we know it.
It's coming back next week, not this week. Next week is
okay.
And man, that's always a fun bowl because it's the Kraut Bowl and everything. But that one really, really means something this year because you could say that this might be the district championship that's going to be played. I think
I would be surprised if it's not for the district championship, right?
Yeah, because I think both of them, at least right now, and again, we got to get through the district season, but I think both of them right now are better than Collinsville. And Collinsville started out nice 4-1, but they lost to Callisburg, and Callisburg's had a really weird season. They beat Cooper 14-0. So they've had a good win and a bad loss. But right now, if I were to rank the 8-2A Division II, I'd have Munster, Lindsay, and then Collinsville, all three bunched in there together.
Yeah. Here was a good game. Farwell 25, Post 24, man. The the backup quarterback for Farwell, Andre Pullen, scored the winning touchdown on a 5-yard keeper. And Post had like one last chance in the final seconds of the game, and Daniel Silva comes up with a interception for Farwell to pull up basically a pretty shocking upset, right?
Yeah, and it's funny to think about how we were just talking about Post last week and how, they had shocked the world last year with their undefeated season, their playoff run, upsetting Sunray in the playoffs. And honestly, we didn't even have this show this game really talked about it. I mean, Farwell was 3-1, but they had gotten beat pretty bad by Abernathy earlier in the year, but a good win on them, man. Now for Post, I think Post is going to be fine, but it's just, I think this is more of how good Farwell was in this game.
Yeah. All right, and the last one on the docket is Bremond 28, Mart 20. What a game this was, man! Mart has played one hellacious schedule this year. They're 1-3, I believe, right now. But Tank Scott for Bremond racks up over 100 yards rushing, mostly in 3 touchdown runs. So Tank Scott still proven to be the big playmaker for the Bremond Tigers.
Yeah, and they got a couple big interceptions in the game, and just, Mart has played a tough schedule, but I think it's now safe to say that Mart is in I don't want to even say rebuild yet, but at least a reload mode. The problem is they're in a really, really tough district. So if you are reloading, you might technically be rebuilding as well because you might be out of the playoffs.
Exactly.
All right, let's go ahead and turn our attention again real quick on the 2A side. Again, if you're clicking somewhere in the middle of this show for one odd reason or not, we're doing all one show tonight, so the 3A and the 4As will be on here. So let's go ahead and pick, again, short schedule with all of the buys and stuff. So let's start with Amarillo River Road versus Stratford.
Yeah, give me Stratford in this. I think River Road's a little bit of a surprise team so far this year, though. I believe they only have one loss. But I think Stratford might be a tick better.
Oh, no, I agree. I think Stratford wins by a couple of touchdowns. But it is River Roads. We got to know how they're going to go going through the rest of the season and into the playoffs. Let's go completely to the opposite direction in Texas. Kennedy 4-1 versus Ganado 4-1. Kennedy is a very balanced offense. Jericho Jackson, he's one of those every quarterback nowadays. He can throw it and he can run it. They have a really good running game. And David Salas is averaging over 110 yards a game. But Ganado's Ganado. Logan Burris, that defense. I think this is going to be a close game early, but I just think Ganado's 3-4 touchdowns better.
I don't know if it's even close early. Ganado's so physical. Logan Burris, man, he's averaging 167 yards a game on the ground. Landon Arriga and Austin Pena, great quarterback to receiver connection there. And they're just so solid up front on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to give Kennedy all kinds of problems. I see Ganado early and often, Ganado by quite a few scores.
No, that's actually a great point. Actually, sorry, folks. I forgot to Oh, no, there we go. It is there. Okay. Anyway, I just have that game on there. Chilton 4-0 versus Mart 1-3. I mean, Mart's not in elimination mode quite yet, but they're definitely in. If you don't start winning some district games, you're going to be third or maybe fourth in district. But they've got a tough one this week in Chilton. The Pirates 1-0 in district. They're 4-0 overall. But Gold Wave did give them a game last week. 14-0 was the game, as I think Chilton had to score late in that one.
Mart, for Mart to have a shot in this, Quinn Preston and Ahmad Scott are going to have to just run all over that Chilton run defense. I just think they have to run the ball effectively.
No, Elijah Johnson, quarterback. I mean, in the game last week, you saw the good. He threw for 251 yards and 2 touchdowns, throwing the ball down the field, averaged 15 yards of completion. And you also saw the bad, though, the 2 key interceptions that really hurt them.
Yeah.
I've got Mart winning this game. It's in Mart. I feel like Mart's got their backs against the wall. They need this game, and I know Chilton needs this game too, but Mart needs this game. You kind of feel like this is that precipice game for them on the season where if they drop this one, they might pack it in. Let's say it how it is. Mart doesn't know how to lose multiple games in a row in district. Mart doesn't. We don't know how they're going to respond to that. And with Wortham and Hubbard and that group, and Gold was still on the schedule, I think this is a huge. They've got to win this.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is a must win, at least for the psyche of the Panthers. And, the keys to victory, I thought, obviously, Mark's got to run the football, but defensively, they got to stop Marco Thomas, the quarterback for Chilton. And I think they will slow them down. I think Mark comes out with their second win in a very good game. I like Mark in a close one over Chilton. I believe it's in Mark.
Yes, it is. Our last game of the 2A schedule that we're talking about, I can admit, I never had this one on the old bingo card.
Well, when we have such a limited selection of games, so kind of had to pull out a few reaches tonight.
You know what? That's kind of cool though, because it's kind of cool to talk about Como Picton. Yeah. I talked about them on the KETR show that Sideline is
more than just dairy. They're football, and they're 4-1.
They're 4-1, and they're not going to beat Honey Grove, and they probably won't make the playoffs. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if they end up with a 4-6 record. But I just want to point out that this has been Como Picton's run since 2020. 2-8, 1-9, 1-9, 1-9. So the very fact that they're 4-1. This is a successful season, and this is a program. Everybody will talk about the Huntingtons when they had their stretch, and Alba Golden when they had their stretch. Como Picton has made the playoffs all of 7 times in the history of this program. Yeah. So any kind of success there is good, and it's fun to see. But Honey Grove is going to have their way with them.
Rylan Morris, he's running for something like 240, 245 yards a game.
Yes, and they're a complete team this year, though. They have struggled at times defensively against good offenses, though. That's the thing I want to point out. They gave up 63 to Winsboro. They gave up 53 to Blue Ridge. Those are 2 great offenses. Everybody else, it's been under 20 points. Like I said, fun story for Como Picton. I'm glad we got to talk them, but Honey Grove is going to destroy them.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, are you ready to elevate your locker room experience? Well, at H&H Locker Solutions, we pride ourselves on delivering the highest quality lockers at the lowest cost in the Southeast. As a coach-owned business based in Alabama, we understand the needs of the coaches and the players alike. Our mission is to improve your locker room and streamline your process, and we're coming to Texas. Did you know we offer a free locker program? That's right. We ship all across the USA, ensuring you get the best solutions tailored just for you and your program. Want to learn more? Drop a comment or give Coach Harris, a.k.a. Ty, a call at 256-458-4427, and let's take your locker room to the next level.
All right. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin back here on Sideline to Sideline. As you can tell, if you somehow just now tuned in, Grant's in the Louisville studio. I'm at the home studio. You're having way too much fun.
I just came out from another dimension.
I thought you were afraid of Ghost.
Well, that's nothing about Ghost in there. Just another dimension. Dimensions don't mean ghosts.
Oh, so you're fine with interdimensional beings,
right?
But you don't like ghosts.
Correct. Yes,
that makes a lot of sense. All right, as I said,
don't make me go back to that alternate universe. It's kind of nice. There's no Coach X.
Oh man,
he's an insurance salesman. He's a lot nicer.
Makes me think of the insurance salesman on Groundhog Day. All right, so as we said, this is all one show, so we transition as Coach X has been doing lately.
I got him back
from 2A to 3A. It's time to do a little previewing of 3A. Of course, Coach X has some input on the games when we get to that point.
Joy, can't wait.
I don't believe you when you say it that way. All right, hang on. Go ahead and start with the first game on there as I got to pull up my notes.
Okay. Orange Grove 34, Edna 21. Man, Orange Grove has been impressive over the last few years, and I think they're more impressive this year in 2025 than they have been any other of these previous years. They've been on a run. Their running back, Daniel Bond, ran for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaged 13 yards a carry. Edna falls to 1-3, but they played a murderer schedule.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a murderer schedule that last year they didn't lose until December.
Correct.
This is a different Edna.
I think their quarterback is hurt.
Yeah.
So they've got some injury issues up there, but I don't think that takes away from Orange Grove's win here. Huge win.
I was going to say that word for it. Thank you for saying that. While yes, it is a mark against Edna, I think Edna's down. This is still a huge win for them. All right, Canadian, they just thumped Sunray 69-20. Again, struggling for games right now, but this goes to show where Sunray is in 2A. They're struggling, but Canadian, man, they just each week they keep getting better and better and looking better and better. I think they're ahead of schedule than even what I think some of their fan base thought from people that we talked about and things like that.
Yeah, that quarterback's really stepped up, man. Sophomore quarterback playing really well. Their defense is really good. Canadians just doing Canadian stuff. How about you have another thing on Canadian?
Oh no, I was agreeing with you. They're doing Canadian stuff. I think the scary thing is if they're ahead of the schedule, we keep crowning Wall and Gunner in a rematch. Canadians sitting there saying, "Hey, folks, we can have both of them."
Right, exactly. How about this one? Jim Ned 48, Holiday 20. That's a pretty impressive score, Jim Ned threw out there. Coming off that loss from Wall against Wall, and then coming out and holding Holiday to 20 and putting up 48.
I'll tell you, this is one of those games. We always talk about it, and we have our system, and we have what we call calibrations. This team did this to that team, and then this happens. And with the way Wall had just pummeled Jim Ned at Jim Ned, and the way like Munster had, the way Holiday had dispatched of Munster. I know Munster's a 2A team, but they're a really good 2A team. Jim Ned winning isn't a surprise, though I picked Holiday. It's winning like they did, and it reminds me that I have to remember that. And you and I have this conversation all the time. We sometimes don't get good comparisons on like offense or defense because, Jim Ned struggled against Wall's defense, and there's not many teams like Wall's defense, and so sometimes we forget that.
Yeah. Let's go down to Troop 42, ARP 6. Very impressed with Troop last year, even more impressed with Troop this year. ARP's a pretty solid football team. So for Troop to put up 42 on them, man, Josh Childress, 15 of 18 for 274 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. And this is a running team. Brett Wells can run on just about any defense. So when Childress is able to throw for over 200 yards, Troop is going to be tough to stop. Brett Wells had 12 carries for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and this was a very close game until the third quarter. Troop, I almost said the Tigers. That'd have been funny. Troop dropped 28 points in that third quarter in a rivalry game, and it's a rivalry game that's starting to mean something again. And growing up in East Texas, that was always one of the underrated rivalries, especially in the 2000s, right when I started covering, because you had Troop with that great team that went all the way to the state championship before losing to Crawford, and ARP with Dale Irwin at head coach. They had some of the most athletes you've seen in East Texas. A couple of them going to Texas, to A&M. And ARP's really good this year. They had went into this game. They had already pitched 2 shutouts and only given up a total of 17 points on the year going into this game. And so that tells me how good Troop is. Now we see what ARP will do bouncing back because, man, 11-3A Division II. We knew Troop was going to be there. But look at West Grusk, man. 4-1 on the year. Their only loss was week 1 against Malakoff in a game that they were up at half, and then Malakoff just did do what Malakoff do. But after that, they beat Diebold, Gladewater, Tatum, and then Elkhart last week to begin District 62-13. Man, this 11-3A Division II battle between Troop, West Grusk, and I don't think ARP's quite out of it yet, is going to be interesting.
Yeah. We might have to go see that Troop West Grusk game.
I'm telling you what, man, West Crust is really impressing me this year because they're, again, we said about Canadian, they're supposed to be kind of young this year and not in a rebuild mode, but kind of figuring things out. But, you know, they still returned 13. They've got Judson Dotson, one of the more electric players in East Texas. So, yeah, we definitely might have to go see them.
All right, Bandera 26, Hondo 25. Bandera is now 5-0.
Hey, I love it for Bandera. We'll talk a little. Well, I said I told you I was gonna take this out, but then I realized we're doing all the show at once. So Bandera is the 4A team in this. Hondo's the 3A team, but this is a big rivalry. This is one of those long-term rivalries, and Bandera, man, it was close back and forth. They score late. They've got such a good dual threat at running back. Juan Cabrera. Everybody forgets about him because he missed all of last year with a knee injury, and Braden German just stepped up last year with 1,200 yards. Cabrera 2 years ago, he had 1,100 yards. So you've got both of them in that backfield now. Both of them have already been players of the week down there because that's how great they can interchange them. And Joel Fontenot Amity has done such a good job. This was a Bandera team that in 2020 was 0-9. Since then, it's been 6-4, 8-3, 10-2. And then last year with injuries and a rebuild, they still went 7-4. And we always talk about that's when a program has got to be a consistent program, or even on a down year, they're still making the playoffs and getting a playoff win.
Yeah. All right, let's go to a couple of district mates now. How about Columbus getting right 20-7 over a pretty good 4A Belleville team?
Yeah, getting right, but the issue still remains, and I know Belleville's defense, but the issue still remains is we're not seeing Columbus's offense look anywhere near what they were last year.
Well, no, I mean, they lost some special dudes from last year.
Exactly, and I think they're still trying to figure out their style of ball.
Yeah,
because they went from a team last year that probably, I would assume 55% threw it, 45% ran it most games. Sometimes that was flipped. This year, they've had multiple games where they haven't even thrown for 60 total yards. But in saying that, against a tough schedule, they're basically 2 fumbles away from being undefeated.
Yeah.
So I think the Cardinals might scuffle all year, but their scuffling is on a different level than most teams scuffling.
Yeah, I'd like my hometown to scuffle like that.
Hey, look at the city, y'all.
Yeah.
Big.
All right. How about Hitchcock 37, Silsby 16? Hitchcock's Brian Harris had one heck of a game. Scored on an 87-yard interception return for a touchdown. Returned the second half kickoff back 86 yards for a touchdown, and returned a 37-yard a fumble for 37 yards for a touchdown. Hitchcock had just ran 13 plays in the first half and had more penalty yards, 50, than they had from the line of scrimmage, 45.
Yeah, I was impressed with what they did against that Silsby offense and that Silsby defense. Silsby the week before had given up 49, but that was the 5A Westbrook.
Right.
Going into before that, they had given up 15 to 4A Vider, 14 to 4A LCM, 13 to 4A Nederland, and 3A Hitchcock's able to do this with a young offense. Let's not forget, Hitchcock basically is having to rebuild on the offensive side, and man, they're going to hit district play hot.
Yeah, they are. Man, that Hitchcock-Columbus game, well, that's looming big, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, another team we've been very, very impressed with, Fairfield, man. They go 5-0 with their 61-14 win over McGregor. I know McGregor's not real special, but that just goes to show how good Fairfield is now. And I don't remember his name, but that quarterback down there is the real deal.
We've been talking about Cole Collins for a while now. Threw for 402 yards, 6 touchdowns, 76% completions, also ran for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tylen Davis also had a big game. Look, I mean, it's weird to say Fairfield's throwing the ball because anytime Fairfield's had success, you go back to the Larry Rose days, it was a ground and pound, but John Bachtel has got a quarterback that's legit, and he's doing what you should do as a coach. Use the skills players that you have, and we've been talking about Fairfield and Palestine Westwood game. Speaking of them real quick, they destroyed Mildred 63-25. No shock in that. Just wanted to bring it up. But yeah, we probably have to go see them play each other.
Yeah. I think I got a typo on Franklin Houston Legacy. It was Franklin 49, Legacy 48, I believe. if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Hey, great. Look, I know some people think I'm hard on Franklin this year because I say, hey, look, their defense has struggled against good offenses, but that doesn't mean I'm not high on Franklin as a team. They're back to the bevy of backs. They're running 6-7 guys. They're scoring points. They played Salina tough, and we'll be talking Salina, the 4A team. I mean, Salina's the number one team defending state champs of 4A Division One. And so, I am extremely impressed with what Franklin is doing right now.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. More so than the last few years, actually. All right, Gladewater 27, Gladewater 28, Jefferson 27. Great. Gladewater rallied from 21 points down to win.
Yeah, that was one of those, Matt kept saying, hey, it's a crazy night. And he was mainly talking about 6As and 5As because at the time, Jefferson was up comfortably. We didn't know the Winsboro score, which we'll get to here in a minute. But, man, Gladewater, hey, give them credit on that. They just didn't give up. One of those classic, hey, everybody thinks you're down. Now, I don't know if that is telling of Jefferson or did Jefferson let their guard down. We don't know yet. In this district, we're going to find out soon because, Jefferson got to turn around and play Atlanta. And this win for Gladewater and this loss for Jefferson has thrown what has already been an interesting district. It's only going to get more interesting because I think everybody, even though everybody thought that this whole district is tough, everybody thought Jefferson was going to be the team to win. Now they're having to fight for the 2 seed at best unless something happens in front of them.
Yeah. Here's the wow game of last Friday night. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know, Marshall. It sucks. They didn't play. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that Marshall deserves a bye at all.
Maybe that's how it should be. If you're 0-5, you have to keep playing until you win.
You have to play till you win.
So this is a good chance to promote right now what we're doing over on Patreon. You can check out our Patreon right there, patreon.com/L4 Media Company. And today we unleashed our first time rankings of 4A, 3A, 2A, both divisions, all that kind of stuff. And you and I are kind of, the way we do our poll, it's kind of like how TV does gaming rights. And basically, you get to say, okay, I don't like this pick, and I agree with you, and I'll change it. Unless I just have a steadfast, I'm going to fight for it. And then the next one, I'll say, well, I'll disagree, but I don't disagree enough to completely change it, and so you'll keep it. You had Winsboro in the top 5. I get your sentiment on that. And by the way, check that out at Patreon. It's $2.99 a month.
So Commerce beats them 51-13. So I wasn't going to move them down too far because off of one game, I don't think that's just them. That's just not this team.
But 51-13?
I know.
And again, and maybe this is one of those games, all we have is the stats on that. By the way, Aiden Brown balling out for Commerce, ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, threw for 163 yards and 1 touchdown. And this isn't the, oh my God, isn't Commerce winning by any stretch. It's the how bad they won.
Right.
And you and I had Commerce in the playoffs in our Big Arts preview show. We talked about this is a team, that has slowly over the last few years finally starting to become a more consistent program, back-to-back playoffs. The thing that stands out to me, though, is how young this team is. This is all like juniors, and Aiden Brown's a junior, and I think Braden Anderson and Malik Garcia are all juniors. This is a young
team. Young up front, too, I believe.
Yeah. This is one of those just kind of a bunch of juniors, but I am still I understand your thing of it's a one game we got to see, but man, 51-13.
I know it's a wow game, dude. It is. I understand.
It blows my mind. It's one of the crazier scores that we've seen, and legitimately in all the years that you and I have been doing this show. To have a team that it's funny because I even was like, hey Matt, when we were talking to him at the stadium, like, hey, we've been really big on Winsboro. This is before we knew the score. And he's like, no, I agree. They are by far, at the moment, by far away the best team in that division, in that state. And then Commerce said, hold my beer.
Yeah. In that region, yeah. All right, Kahoma 35-14. Kahoma's now 5-0. Kind of want to gloss over these next couple. Gunner 50, Bells 7.
Hey,
No shock there, but didn't you think Bells might put up a little bit more of a fight?
That's exactly what I was going to say. And yes, we're taking flat. Gunner wasn't in the top 5, not yet. It's nothing against them. We're still deciding on them. Bells is down though. Bells is down more than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, and I think look, Gunner held Bells to 7, but I think where Gunner needs help right now is on the defensive side of the ball. Honestly,
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all.
All right, Tidehaven 56, Brazos 25. Brazos is a much improved team, I believe, and Tidehaven comes out and leaves no doubt.
Well, and this was a close game though, going into the third quarter. I can't remember exactly when I saw the score. So I want to be fair. It could have been in the second quarter because sometimes when we're at a game, and especially when we're talking with somebody, I'm looking at scores, but I'm not making the mental notes of like what the timing is and stuff as much as I am when it's just me and you and we're at a game on the field. But yeah, this was a close game, and the Cougars went into this game 4-1. They had just destroyed Schulenburg last week, 65-18. This game at one point, I think was like 25-24 Wallace, and then Tidehaven just did what Tidehaven does and just turned on the gas, and it was over.
Yeah, Kel Russell, man, he's just a different animal. All right, Paradise 29, Vernon 22. This was the game to be at right here. This game was tied 22-22 with under 2 minutes left in the game, and then defensive back for Paradise, Lane Smith, recovers a fumble, and after that, Paradise scores the game winner a few plays later. But tied 22-all with 2 minutes left.
And I know Vernon's 4A, but still, this was a great win, a great game for both of these teams. I think the Lions are back. It's obvious Paradise
Vernon is 3A now.
Yeah, I keep doing that with like 3 or 4 schools. I'm so used to them ingrained as but still, for Paradise. Look, we talked about this. We had wondered in the Big R's preview show. Is Paradise with the new head coach, which was the son, Tommy now, were they going to kind of take that mantle of that 3A Division I, Region 1 team like Brock had? Brock had kept everybody at bay for so long, and it looks like Paradise is, in fact, going to do that as they're going to keep going.
Yeah. And the final review for tonight was another good game. Academy beating Whitney 49-30. Little River Academy went into halftime with a 42-12 lead.
Yeah, this was a statement for Little River because Whitney's got a great offense. Now, they are going to struggle defensively, and they have. And give them credit, though. They tried to make a game of it late. But you and I had been talking about people are sleeping on Little River, who had gotten beat by 4A Connolly 33-29, 2A top 10 team Lexington 21-14. A really solid.
Everything running back from last year ends up at Temple this year, right?
Yes,
so they got to replace him.
And then Salado, they beat them 41-28, and then Whitney 49-30. They're sitting there in that 11-3A Division I, and of course you've got Franklin. But after that, I mean, Rockdale's 3-2, and Troy's 3-2, and Yo is 2-3. Nobody, well, McGregor's probably terrible. Nobody else is necessarily terrible, but all of a sudden, Little River Academy looks like the second best team in that district.
Yeah, they could be, man. Brody Allen had a big night. Threw for 72, ran for 109. I think Academy's definitely a team you have to look out for, not only in that district, but maybe in that region.
Yeah, I think they have a chance to because it's a tough region, but it's not the same as it was last year. At least the way the way it started out and the way we think it will go. All right, let's now turn our attention to the preview that is of Week 6. That's right, Week 6 of the high school football season. Now, this was a game that at the beginning of the year I'd have told you was going to be one of the better ones and everything, but the way Canadian has started and the way Shallow Water has started, I think Canadian's going to roll in this one.
Yeah, I do too. Canadians, Weston Mitchell, the quarterback we had just mentioned earlier, is playing really well, just a sophomore. And then Sladen Dickinson at running backs doing a great job. Riggs Pennington at receiver, a great weapon for Mitchell out there on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense has given up just under 21 points a game so far on average. So Canadians kind of just all around built really tough.
And Shallow Water, people are going to look at their record and see 2-3, but they've lost to Seminole, Greenwood, and Idalou. Those are 3 teams that, Shallow Water's probably going to be the underdog in most of them. The only thing is for me that I'm a little bit concerned about is that they've been blown out in all of those.
Yeah.
I think I may sound like I thought Canadian was going to roll. I think Canadian wins. I don't think they necessarily roll like they have last week.
I think it could be by maybe 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a good. I
think Cooper Martin, the quarterback for Shallow Water, good dual threat quarterback. I think he's good enough to keep them in any game.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say.
Oh, can we skip that?
No, we have to do it. Sorry, buddy. It's not fun when the shoe's on the other foot. I almost said the foot's on the other shoe. That'd be scary.
So I'm gonna just disappear. Talk what you want to do.
You're having way too much fun with that. You didn't. Okay, you made it worse. There you go. There you finally completely disappeared. So Canada has beaten every team that they have. Oh, this is Coach X, by the way. So Canada has beaten every team they've played. But then I saw this deal that said the mayor of Canada is going to take everyone's guns. Good luck with that, dude. If there's one thing America loves, it's 3 things. Football, and you guys are good at that. Going on dates with Grant's mom, and I'm not sure on that, and our God-given right to own a firearm and shoot stuff. I mean, have you ever been to West Texas? What the hell is there to do but throw a football, drink, and shoot at stuff? And now some mayor thinks you know better than Thomas Washington and George Jefferson. I love that. Well, he moved on up, and you guys are moving on out. Shallow Water, 12 gauges their way to a win. So not only is he being humorous, he's also picking an upset. I like that.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, good luck on that one, X. For sure. All right. Here's a game we're going to be at Friday. Pilot Point at Palmer. Looking forward to seeing Palmer, their quarterback, Eric Cisneros, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in 3A, right?
Yep, and his brother/cousin, I haven't got complete verification. AJ Cisneros is one of the best wide receivers in the area.
Yeah. Now, all we need from the listener, anybody from the Palmer, Ennis, Waxahachie area, have any good suggestions on where to have a pregame meal, let us know, because I don't know.
Yeah, we need some help there. Also, let us know if they're brother or cousins. Also, if you'd like to send us some Palmer gear, reach out to us. Oh, we got a new holiday hat. I'm going to wait till next week when you're in the studio. Jeff Bishop sending it in from Holiday. We got a new holiday hat that goes on the wall, so we appreciate that. They're going to be taking on Pilot Point, an upstart Pilot Point team that last year shocked the world by simply making the playoffs and then getting a playoff win over a Mahia team that had kind of become the hot, watch out for Mahia. They have the right draw. They could end up going, to the region semifinals, and Pilot Point took care of them in the first round. They've continued that 4-1. You can make the case that they haven't played anybody, and that's true. But, I mean, when you're where Palmer or where Pilot Point was the last few years, any win's a good win.
They got a really good backfield, and Josh Chumley at running back and the fullback, Caden David, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think Pilot Point's defense is going to have its work cut out for them Friday night against Cisneros. But I feel like they can move the ball with those backs, and they're not bad up front. They're getting better on the offensive line.
Yeah, their biggest issue when they go up against the teams like Palmer and Pottsboro, it's physicality and size.
Yeah.
Pilot Point wants to get physical, but when and we have a Chad Worrell coaches show, of course, on the network, the Pilot Point coaches show. I mean, he'll even tell you, yeah, we want to get physical, but when you're getting outweighed 50 pounds a man, there's only so much you can do.
But only so many legal tactics you can.
So many legal tactics. Now, in saying that, Chad Worrell is a genius at being able to find a way to hold on to the ball, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that, in my opinion, the higher the score, the bigger the win for Palmer. I think if Pilot Point could find a way, get a couple turnovers, go for it on a couple 4th and 1s inside your own 30 if you need to, and play keep away, they have a chance. But in saying that,
I just don't think they're going to be able to slow down Palmer. Nobody has this year so far, and I don't think Pilot Point's going to be able to do it. I think Palmer, I'm not going to say names or score, but 2 or 3 touchdowns at least, right?
I agree. And I don't think a lot of people realize Palmer's the 5th ranked team in the state. It's kind of like where Paradise was a couple years ago when everybody would look up and be like, oh, crap, Paradise is top 5. I think a lot of people are doing that with Palmer this year.
Yeah. All right. Does the Coach X have something to say on that?
He would. Palmer versus Pilot Point. I knew Grant would pick this game because if there's one thing that guy knows is how to palm a PP.
I can't even be mad at that. I'm not even mad at that.
Well played, Coach Jax. Well played. Heard he could have gone pro if anybody wanted to see that, but they didn't. Well, back then.
Peter.
Now you should give it a try. Might be more of an audience for that sort of thing now. But I got to go with the PPs to poke through the top of the palm defense and let everybody know that they are hard and they are coming for you. I hope Coach Royal's not listening to the show before I interview him tomorrow.
Goodness. All right, Liberty Allo versus Tatum. Man, I think I like Tatum in this game.
I would have, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year that I would be calling this game an elimination game for one of these teams, I'd been like, oh yeah, Tatum. I mean, I think they're solid, but man, it's Liberty Allo. Look at what they did last year. And no, this isn't truly an elimination game. But again, as we talked about in 4A-3A Division One, if Liberty Allo goes to 0-1, well then they're already starting from a hole. And I kind of agree with you. I think Tatum is going to win. Now, look,
Coach Willard can coach him up though. So I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion. And this might be a pick'em game, right?
Oh, yeah, this is 100% a pick'em game. I don't think any team wins comfortably. I think what we've learned is with all the other people that Liberty Allo had lost going into this season, Daquan Prevost was the guy that made them go this year. And since he's no longer on the team, he's up in Arkansas playing at Bentonville, we're seeing the struggles. Now,
why go to Bentonville? What, you want to long-term career future at Walmart or something? Stay at Liberty Allo, dude.
Yeah, this is so weird. He said he wanted to be closer to Arkansas.
Well,
we got
Liberty Allo's pretty darn close.
Well, we also got to wonder if
Texarkana area.
What's he going to think?
Arkansas in the name.
But what's he going to think about when Bobby Petrino's named the full-time head coach? Because that's where that's going.
And I know he's going to say, I'll come pick you up for practice on my motorcycle every day.
Now, I do want to remind everybody this. Liberty Allo is 1-3, but here are the 3 Liberty Allo losses. Pittsburgh, who we now see is a way better team than we thought coming into the season. Henderson, who is Ricky Joe Meeks, has stepped in and continued what Clay Baker was building there. Carthage, a little upstart team you might not have heard about. They've won some games before. And then last week they beat Bullard. So, I mean, this is all 4A teams. So this might be one of those things where it all looks close and everybody's going with Tatum. And then Liberty Allo beats them 42-10 simply because I do think that's a possibility.
Yeah. All right. Jefferson versus Atlanta.
Another Jefferson. You better watch out. You got upset last week. So if you lose this one, you're then needing more help, not only to make the play. I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs in that district, but this district isn't about making the playoffs. It's about where you finish in the standings because you're looking at Winsboro, Pottsboro, now Commerce type teams. You don't want to play the first or second. You want to play the third or fourth. I don't have a feel in this game. I got to tell you what.
I've got Jefferson in this one, but I do think it's a close one. And I think much like Ellie and Tatum, this could be considered.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think this is a pick.
I think Jefferson's probably a slight favorite on the books everywhere, but definitely close enough to call it a pick 'em. But I'm taking the Jefferson Bulldogs.
And you also have to remember this, and you and I have talked about this before. It's very interesting when a team loses a game that they led for the majority, and especially when it's a big comeback. How much value do you take in the comeback? But you also have to remind yourself that for the majority of that game, Jefferson was up on Gladewater by 21 points. And you know, sometimes those things happen, but we'll know a little bit more going forward after this one.
All right. How about 4-1 Rogers versus 3-2 Columbus? Give me Columbus.
This is a weird game. Like, is this one of those coaches know each other, maybe, or maybe I just I don't know. Maybe
is it any weirder than the 4A matchup we got coming up? Well, we got two weird 4A matchups in Carthage and San Benito, and then Eden Brownwood playing Ingleside.
Yeah, and Cuero plays Harlingen.
Yeah, well, Cuero's closer.
I think the Benito was literally Carthage couldn't find a game to save their life, and so they threw went to the 5A and asked, "Hey, anybody want to play us?"
threw a dart and hit the river.
Look, Rodgers, I feel like Rodgers, started off the year 3-0, but man, if you give up 49 to Whitney and their offense and only can score 17, the 49's not a shock. For Whitney, but Whitney only scoring. Rodgers only scoring 17 against that defense. I don't know if there'd be a drop against Columbus. Now,
Yeah, I think this Columbus defense is going to wear Rodgers out.
Now, Columbus's offense could keep Rodgers in the game if Columbus's offense can't get more efficient. But if Columbus will I just feel like, and this isn't a knock on the coaches, you got to remember you had a certain way you did things with a certain quarterback for 3 years. You're now kind of having, as not only a player but as coaches, readjust your muscle memory of what plays work when I need them, and they're having to figure that out. I think this is a game they get, as you like to say, right with ball. I think they name their score.
Yeah, and then here's a quick hitter before we get to a pretty good one, I think. Wall versus Idalou. Give me Wall in this one.
Give me Wall, but this is just one of those, like you said, it's a quick hitter. You kind of want to peek at the Wildcats on here, 3-2, but their losses are to Sweetwater and the Lubbock Liberty. They've won 3 in a row.
None of those could stay within 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. But then they last week they got a big win against Shallow-Water, 45-20. Look, Wall's going to win this game. It isn't.
I think right now Wall is in a different class.
I do think this is closer than what people think, but not super close or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be worse than how bad Wall beat Jim Ned.
No, I do too. That's a really good comparison. I think add 2 touchdowns to that.
All right, Yoakum versus Blanco, man. 2 identical records, but different teams, right?
Yeah, hang on. Sorry, I'm having a hard time loading my review as I'm trying to go. Here we go.
Yoakum's German Robinson, and then SMU commit Xavier Barnett. Man, that's a dangerous combo right there for
I was watching some highlights of Xavier Barnett, and for all the great speed, athleticism that Yoakum has had through the life of that program, he's on a different level. And he's a guy that if he decides to take over a game, you don't really have a chance.
Yeah, you don't. He can definitely out-athlete you. Now, Blanco's going to have to lean on Diego Soto, that running back, and then Gavin Luker, the quarterback's going to have to play perfect, and that Blanco defense is going to have to just tighten their chin straps, right?
Yeah, Blanco's that defense on the year, they gave up 20 to Hondo to start the year in that loss, but since then they've given up 7, 0, 18, and 7. Look, I think this is one of those games that people might not realize. This is the game of the week, even if it was a stacked schedule. This is going to be a battle in the middle of the ring. Both of these teams are just going to be swinging all day. I think the Panthers win, and I think it's going to be in a defensive slugfest.
Do you? See, if Blanco wins, it will be a defensive slugfest, but I think Yoakum just has too much on the offensive side of the ball for that Blanco defense. So I'm going to take Yoakum.
I have no problem with that. Again, this is a pick'em game. This is going to be one on the old, I know, cliche turnovers and maybe injuries, but I think it's going to be a blast either way. All right, Coach X says, game sounds good on paper, but it's not. Just like getting an email from Grant's mom. Talk's a good game, but the reality never lives up to the hype. Sorry, little dude.
Yeah, I know. She has high standards.
But you had to find out some way. But me and you can still hang out. Bring Playoff Tree with you. By the way, how is Playoff Tree's wife and my saplings? Yoakum. He thinks Yoakum's win big, so y'all both have Yoakum. All right, that's 3A in the book.
That's what he says. I'm going to change my pick.
Is it going to be like that now? That's 3A. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's going to be 4A to finish out the show right here on Sideline to Sideline, the very special edition.
Coach Surratt came in 2007, and really what's remarkable about him is how quickly he turned the program around.
The biggest challenge here was just to change the mindset. Obviously, we want a winning culture, but the first thing you got to instill is, toughness. It don't matter if it's volleyball, football, baseball.
He's put Carthage on the map to a great extent.
right on Friday
Back
night.
here, sideline to sideline, the now Class 4A edition. It's been one big show. I got to admit, this has been kind of fun. We can't do this every week during the regular season because we have so much content, but it is kind of nice to get that playoff style show because this is what we do with I think we start with the region finals that we put them all together.
Caught between that dimension.
You okay? You like the show Sliders?
I keep hearing Carol Ann, come towards the light.
We just watched that last weekend.
Now that's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, but that's a creepy ghost movie. All right. Oh, let me turn this video on. Somebody, by the way, email us as you can see on the thing, Grant and Terry at S2Sport.com. Someone messaged me on Smokey and was like, hey, I'm just curious, why do y'all play that one song whenever y'all do song intros and you don't do like you used to with all these different songs? And I am sad for Grant, and I mean this sincerely. You used to love to pick out the music for the show, and you would have not themes, but sometimes you'd have themes. Well, unfortunately, because we monetized on YouTube, that's a good thing. We get hit with music rights if we don't play the right songs, and so
you're just a capitalist boomer.
I know. You know, I got called a boomer the other day, and I just chuckled. I'm like, oh my god, if you think I'm a boomer, but no. So we got permission to use that song. B, I love that song because you think it's talking about Friday night football, which it is, but the whole thing is on Friday night in a small town, everybody's at a game, so I can go rob the bank. My dad used to always say that when we were going like Jefferson playoff run in '86. He goes, man, sometimes I just want to do a U-turn and just go clean out some stores.
God, I know where you get it.
My dad's got a dark side to him. You've met him. All right, and we're now going to finish up with
every time we go to a game, all the change in my truck is missing. What's up with that?
All right, now let's go to the 4A side and let's go ahead and talk about the game we went to. We talked a little bit about all the way at the beginning of the show, but first off, once again, it was fun to just have the Old Coach Network group in the house with me, you, and Matt Stepp just sitting there talking football. And I'll be honest, dude, I ended up not watching a ton of this game, mainly because of how bad it was. But also,
I started watching at halftime. I started watching Salina and Panther Creek. Yeah.
You had that on yours. Matt Stepp was watching Klein and Klein Oak on his tablet. I had TCU Arizona State dialed up. Thought that was going to be a good one for TCU. I will admit, you and I, over the 17, 18 years we've been doing this, we've gone to 1,000 blowouts. We've seen games that we thought were going to be great that weren't. This one ranks right up there with Belleville destroying West Orange Stark in the first round of the playoffs. I am just flummoxed at how bad this was, and I know Omega is beat up, and I totally respect that, and I'm not knocking them as a program. This wasn't an effort thing. Stephenville was just damn better than them, period.
Yeah, they were. They're more physical. Might I even say more athletic, really? To be honest with you,
scared me the most. Not scared me, but surprised me. I don't want to say scared. Surprised me the most was outside of Courtney Parr and Jabari Thornton, and they had their moments. You could see both of them when they're good. But yeah, you're right. Stephenville out-athleted La Vega.
Yeah, they just. La Vega could not come up with a stop. That Stephenville offense is just something special this year.
And that's the thing that surprised me, because that was the thing that didn't hold them back. Well, yeah, I guess it did hold them back at times last year. Defensively, they were great. Offensively, they were going through so many injuries. They were so, even when they were healthy, it was sometimes discombobulated. But man, we took a lot of flack and by the way, enjoyed meeting the Stephenville radio crew. Thanks to the hospitality. Jason Smith, of course, a friend of ours for the show forever. His hospitality, but meeting the radio crew and just how nice they were. They're all giving us a hard time about the Sulphur Springs, Springtown picks for region and stuff. And rightfully so. But dude, Stephenville's there, man. I feel they're ahead of where I thought they were going to be.
Oh, most definitely. They were better than what I thought they were going to be. I'd seen some highlights, hadn't gone back and watched any of their games from earlier this year, but way better than I thought they were going to be. So, they're looking good for December, that's for sure. How about Lubbock Estacado 14, Canyon Randall 7? A little bit of an upset, you think?
I don't, man, that's the thing though. Like, we've jokingly said this, but Estacado at times feels kind of like the Dangerfield of 4A West Texas, where you think they're going to do things and they don't. And then when they finally do in a game like this, you want to say it's a surprise, but it really shouldn't be. Look, Estacado did what you need to do when you go up against a team like Randall, who had started the year off averaging almost 40 points a game. They played keep away. Cedric Ross, 105 yards on 16 carries.
Very special running back. That's Cedric Ross. He's going to get a lot of offers.
And as a team, they ran for 241 yards. So even if you take Cedric Ross away from that, they still hit, over almost 150 yards. This was a very impressive win because I think the Raiders of Randall are a little bit underrated where people thought they were going to be. And dare I say, I was very impressed just simply by the defensive prowess. And that's always kind of been Estacado's weakness when they play good offenses.
Yeah, you had mentioned it. Randall came in averaging almost 39 points a game. So for that Estacado defense to hold them to a touchdown it's remarkable. And then the fact, like you said, they run for over 240 yards offensively. Estacado does. They're dangerous out there all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. And you and I were high on them on our Big R's preview show as well. Now, here's a game that I don't know what to think. Salina 35, Panther Creek 28. Salina tried.
A lot closer than last year, first of all.
Last year, Salina tried their hardest to give this game to Panther Creek. And it wasn't like Panther Creek was playing bad in return. They were playing really good. But this just goes to show me, Salina's got a lot to clean up, but B, holy crap, Salina's unbeaten with a lot to clean up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they turned the ball over 4 times and still came out with the win.
And they have struggled at points in every game against good teams, but in every game they have found that play, and a lot of them they found the way to end up making a blowout. Now, again, you and I have watched football long enough to know if Salina doesn't clean things up, that will come back to bite them at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, they got to clean things up. But I mean, that's a pretty good indicator, though, how good Salina is turning the ball over 4 times. How many times you hear a coach saying you can't beat a good team turning the ball over once or twice? Well, 4 times and you still beat a good team, that means you're pretty solid. Yeah, I guess maybe prone to mistakes. I mean, every team's got their game where they just do that.
And I do want to point out, Salina's been beat up. In fact, Evan Cohen, the star of the night, had came in on the day only running 2 carries in 4 games, but because Gutierrez has been beat up and some others have been beat up, he ends up running for 4 touchdowns and 133 yards. Yeah. That shows you the depth of this Bobcat team and why you can't count them out even if they are beat up. And the scary thing is from everything that I've been told, everybody's going to be healthy. They're going to be fine long term. So beating the schedule that they have being 1-0 in district, playing probably the second best district team. And by the way, I can finally say I'm impressed with Panther Creek. I know saying that loss, but it always felt like them and Davenport, which is funny because we'll talk about them here in a minute. Them and Davenport always get highly ranked on expectations, and sometimes it feels like they don't quite reach them. I'm impressed with Panther Creek, even though they lost that game.
Yeah, Jalen Lott, he's impossible to cover, and defensively, you got to know where he is.
You know who Panther Creek kind of reminds me of? Anna.
Yeah.
They just need to get that swagger that Anna figured out the year they won state.
Well, they're close to it because they played with it against Salina Friday.
Oh, you got to feel like, and remember 2 years ago they beat Salina in district. You got to feel like Panther Creek feels like we want to see Salina again.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened. All right, Sinton, we talked about them all year. Everybody said this was going to be a rebuild year for Sinton. 5-0. They beat Corpus Christi Millie 35-20.
Yep. Athens 61, Waco Conley 34. Great wins for this Athens program. We knew they were going to be good this year. It's just I don't know that this is a game that Athens would have won last year.
I
or
don't.
the year before last, right?
No, I totally agree with you there. Zach Carroll's doing a wonderful job for the Hornets. We talked about it that if they were in any other district in 4A or almost any other district in 4A Division II, they'd be the prohibitive favorite. Unfortunately for them, they've got Carthage. And I do want to make a point. You know, this would be it'd be easy right now to be like, well, here's Waco Connolly doing Waco Connolly things. Dude, they are beat up right now. Like they are down to like Jamarian Vincent's beat up. Their quarterback who had kind of Caden Kaufman, who had surprised early, he's beat up. I don't know how long-term that is. If they can get healthy, the Cadets are still going to be a team to watch out for. Hey, look at Lampasas. We talked about them after they beat Wimberley last week in a close one. Look out for them. A lot of people had University going to beat them, Waco University, because they're a 5A school. Lampasas outlast them with a touchdown late, 35-28. The Badgers are now 5-0. And damn it, if they're not playing a little bit of defense here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Cal Allen, 43. Rockport Fulton, 36. Cal Allen now only one loss on the year, sitting at 4-1. San Antonio Cornerstone, 37. Austin LBJ, 21. Cornerstone's pretty good, though.
Yeah, this is one of those games that, like, we've said this before. Even though Cornerstone maybe is not as good as they were a few years ago, but they're still a team. If you put them in 4A Division II, they're a region threat. I mean, so there's no shame in this one. Again, LBJ with always going to have depth issues, and I have one of the guys that one of their big fans listens to us and watches us, and he sent me a message like, yeah, they were trying to pull starters early because they're about to hit district play, and so you want to be smart. Look at this one: Fort Bend Crawford 29, West Orange Stark 22. A little shocked by that one.
Yeah, West Orange Stark. I don't know. They come out, open the first or second week and get a comeback win over Newton. And then, what's very impressive. And then I just don't know what to think of them now.
No, I totally agree with you. And this game doesn't help with that at all.
I think that West Orange Stark defense is better than what they're showing though.
All right. So here we go again. Chapel Hill. Last week they got dominated by Carthage, but we all say, hey, it's Carthage, and Chapel Hill did put up 34 points. But this week to start district, they get beat by Lindale 64-28. And look, Lindale is 5-0. And we have been high on Lindale all year long. We said in the Big R's preview show that everybody's looking at Kilgore and everybody's looking at Chapel Hill, and you and I felt that Lindale was going to be the team that might end up taking on Kilgore for the district championship. They returned everybody from last year, including Amelia Johnson, Jackson Parter. I'm not the game being a loss for Chapel Hill isn't the issue, but it just feels like after we talked about how we felt Chapel Hill had turned a corner mentally and stuff, I don't know how you walk away from 64-28.
Yeah, some of that I think shine on them was the fact that they went into Gilmer and did to Gilmer what they did. Now maybe that's not as big of a surprise looking back on it, right? The season that Gilmer's having, and look, Chapel Hill just struggles playing in Lindale.
Yeah, that is true. They historically but still 64-28. That feels different. Yeah. Alvarado outlasts Glen Rose 55.
I would love to know what happened in this game where Alvarado gives up 50.
Yeah, because, the whole thing about Alvarado this year is, yes, they were losing that stud quarterback, but they had a great ground game coming back and a really strong defense. And Glen Rose was at that time, again, we always joke about it, but Glen Rose is one of those teams that, they find a quarterback as a sophomore, they take their lumps, and then by his senior year, they're going to be a region threat. And they were kind of taking a step back, and yet here we go, they score 50. I'm just going to chalk this one up to it's a little bit of a rivalry game, and Alvarado's getting ready for district. That's all I can say on that one.
A lot like Commerce and Winsboro. Winsboro spit the bit. Alvarado didn't necessarily spit the bit, but they let Glen Rose hang around. I'm not going to put a lot of stock into just one game. Now, if you start seeing it again, say next week or the week after next, then it's got to raise your eyebrow a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I do want to point out Glen Rose has now lost 3 straight games by 1 score. So obviously they're almost there.
Yeah.
They're not
That's
quite
just youth.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is for them. All right, where to now?
Columbus 20, Belleville 7. Man, tough loss for Belleville. We'll get to see Belleville and Sealy next week, right? I can't wait. I believe that's in Sealy. We'll be in Sealy, or will we be in Belleville?
No, we'll be in Sealy.
We'll be in Sealy not this Friday, but next Friday to see that one. I can't wait. I still think Belleville is a pretty good football team, but I think Columbus is starting to find their way a little bit down in 3A.
No, I mean, if you want to make comparison, Belleville's only 2 losses are to a Class 4A Division I state champ and a Class 3A Division I state champ.
Yeah, right.
Crawford, who we were just talking about with Crawford and how great their game was over West Orange Stark, they beat Crawford by 20 points. So
yeah.
Belleville's going to be there. Belleville's a team that knows what non-district is for, and then Hitchcock too, great win, 3 They know it. They know what this is for. It's not about being unbeaten. It's about making sure you do the things you need to do to get right for when it comes up to the Sealeys of the world or the Mount.
Yeah, and the aforementioned Sealy 42, Needville 21. No shock in that. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, that was a close game early, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I agree with you. No shock in the win. I was a little shocked at how much they ended up stretching that out because, and I know this is weird to say about Needville because we're used to what Needville used to do, but Needville defenses at times has been better. But man, we've said it all along. If Sealy's quarterback stays healthy, Sealy's the sky's the limit, and so far that's what they're doing.
Yep. All right, Wimberley 31, Navarro 28. A little bit closer than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, I don't know. This is what Wimberley does now.
Yeah.
Every game this year, hey, for us as the third party, we love it. Wimberley fans have got to be pulling their hair out. This is their scores this year. They beat Canyon Lake 36-35 after a furious comeback. They beat Fredericksburg 28-21. They lose to Austin LBJ 34-33 after a furious comeback that falls short. They lose to Lampasas last week 31-24, and then they beat Navarro this week to start district play 31-28. I do want to add in there.
A win's a win, though, right?
Exactly. And I do want to add in there on that district, Salado with the huge win over Laga Vista, 29-28. Laga Vista led most of that game.
That kind of came out of nowhere, right?
It really did. But I want to tell you this. We have a Laga Vista coaches show, and Coach Creighton Phillips tried to tell people last week that the Salado Eagle team, they were 3-2, but their losses were to Lampasas and the Little River Academy. And we know how good those two teams are. The Eagles with Rick Beatty in. He's a new head coach, has a really good, 2 year. This is the second year. He has a really good running back, or quarterback in Devontae Foster. His brother is one of the best linebackers in 4A, and DeMonte Foster. This Salado team is going to be tough. This district, we're so used to it being Wimberley, Navarro, Laga Vista, and everybody else because they were playing the Austin Achieves and Manor New Tech. This year's district's completely different with Salado, with Gerald now that's 5-0, and they take on Laga Vista this week. 13-4A Division II is a blast.
Yeah. All right, Cuero 50, Belton 43.
Cuero, man, everybody's just kind of sleeping.
Cuero inched into our top 5 this week.
Yeah, and we actually had them higher than anybody else. And, man, great win. I know Belton's a little bit down from where they were last year, but they beat Gilmer last week convincingly. Very impressive win for Cuero.
I think that was Brenham that beat Gilmer.
That was Brenham. You're right. My bad.
Yeah. All right, Texarkana Pleasant Grove 42, Sunnyvale 30. Man, what a game this was. It's actually pretty close for the first half. Pleasant Grove's quarterback Colt Yancey had a huge night, going 25 of 33 for 371 yards passing.
Look, I'm going to say this. This is one of those games we talk about where both teams impressed me. Sunnyvale being in this game, Case and Maupin having 16 for 27 for 259 yards passing. The Raiders, we keep saying they need that defining win. They didn't quite get it here, but I think this shows us that Sunnyvale is as far along as we thought they were going to be. And I don't think this region goes without Sunnyvale having a say in it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a contender out there in the region. Speaking of a region contender, how about Eagle Mountain, man? They've announced themselves. They beat Benbrook 46-15. The Eagle Mountain defense came up with 5 interceptions, and then their really good running back, Terry Starks, goes off for 101 yards against that Benbrook defense.
Look, they're, in my opinion, and I'm not even saying they make it a ball game, but I feel like they're the only team in that district that can give Brock anything this year. Yeah. Grant is obviously very down. Mineral Wells has the talent, but man, they're just ransacked with injuries. I'm trying to look. Bridgeport's been a little bit disappointing. So if any team is going to challenge Brock, and I'm still saying I don't really think Eagle Mountain will, it'll have to be Eagle Mountain in 3-4A Division II.
Yeah. How about San Antonio Davenport 63, Pleasanton 7? Man, Tristan Torres, the Davenport quarterback, 12 of 14 for 238 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. But get this, their receivers, Brendan Whitworth and Caden Scott, both with 102 yards receiving. Davenport's now 5-0, and they're starting to look like one of the region contenders.
Oh yeah, last year they were 10-2. They fell to, it was Lavergne and Port Lavaca Calhoun that just started turning that region upside down. The year before they were 11-4. They lost to Chapel Hill in a shootout. They're a team that we don't get to talk about them a lot, and understand that doesn't mean we don't think they're great. It's just they don't play a tough schedule. I mean, I'm not saying that's their fault, but they just don't play teams of note. I mean, you had to list them against Pleasanton because we just kind of wanted to remind folks that, yeah, we know Davenport is really good. I think they're 5th in the state rankings. I think they kind of finished around 6th or 7th for us, but again, simply because of the quality of opponents. But yeah, I firmly believe the Wolves are going to have a huge say in this region.
Yeah, and maybe we do need to get down there here soon after Sealy and go watch them play.
All right, is that it?
That's it for the review.
All right, let's go ahead and turn our attentions to the preview. And as we're going to finish things up, again, a short week because of the schedule. So here we go. Now, this is one, man, we're going to Palmer Pilot Point mainly because, so Grant and I try to have a rule, and sometimes it gets broke. We try not to see the same team more than once in the regular season. We want to get as many teams as we want. So, in theory, this should be a good time to go see West Plains. It's a small week. They're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They're playing a really good private school team in Argyle Liberty Christian, a team that could legitimately beat West Plains, but we want to go to Canyon really bad for a game this year.
Right, yeah.
We decided we're gonna punt on this one, but I do think this is going to be a very fun game. West Plains versus a Christian, Liberty Christian school that if you threw them in 4A, they would be a region threat.
Yeah. Look, West Plains, let's just start with them. They got playmakers all over the field, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And they're all everything. Quarterback Reed Macon, their receivers Kane White Tinsley, Lawson Bantencourt, Caden Hooker, and then Slade Russell at running backs, probably one of the most underrated running backs statewide, but he can go. I mean, West Plains can score on anybody.
Yep. And it's the amount of wide receivers. They remind me so much of that Greenwood team a few years ago that went to the state semifinals, and then Pleasant Grove, wore them down. But you never knew who was going to be the big guy for them. And Reed Macon is playing at a level that, I mean, for 4A Division I, you just don't see a lot. Yeah. This is why we've all year long. This is why we picked them as a state champ, is because of Reed Macon and that team. Now they're going to be taking on a team in Liberty Christian that's a little bit down, not down, but they're not as good as they were last year. But they still got Cooper Witten, a 4-star recruit. They got Quinn Murphy, a 4-star recruit. He's thrown for 1,100 yards so far. West Plains, I think, wins this game, but I think Liberty Christian will definitely keep it close.
Oh, yeah. West Plains is not going to just walk all over them. It's going to be a close game. I expect West Plains to win, but I'm thinking a score or under, right? One possession or under.
I feel like this is going to be a 42-40 type game.
Yeah. All right. Lampasas versus Lorena.
Hang on.
Oh, did you have something? Oh, you had that X.
Yeah, you tried. You tried. Maybe this time he'll be nice on your mom. Here we go.
Maybe I'll just go back into that other X-less dimension.
No, I think this time he's nice to your mom. Here we go. Okay. West Plains versus Argyle Liberty Christian. By the way, this is what Coach X has to say. The game has some history to it. Been playing this one since 1986. Wait, that doesn't add up. Anyway, I think. Oh, wait. No, that's not right. That's the year I first met Grant's mom. Grant's mom has got it going on, or she's all I want, and I waited so long. But I digress. Wolves versus Warriors. Great mascot for a Jason-led team. The dude was a Warrior. How many coaches asking for an autograph and a pick before his team kicks the hell out of him? I bet a lot. Give me the Warriors. So he's going with Liberty Christian. I have a story about that, actually. When I was coaching, we went up against George Teague, former Cowboys safety, Alabama legend, and I was geeking it out a little bit before the game because it was George Teague, so I get that. But he has the Warriors, so a little interesting on that. All right, where to next?
All right, Lampasas versus Lorena. I think Lampasas all the way in this one, right?
Yeah, this is one of those. If Lampasas wants to show us that they're real, they need to win this game, and they need to win it convincing because Lorena is down. Lampasas 5-0 on the year. You know, some of these teams we talked about earlier, like Salado, and we think how solid they were. Lampasas drummed them 43-12. They beat Wimberley again last week or 2 weeks ago, 31-14. I think they should win this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I do too. All right, Paris versus Frisco Panther Creek over at the Ford Center, the Star in Frisco Friday night. Quietly good game here. Paris is no walkover. We know what Panther Creek has. I like Panther Creek, but I think it could be pretty close.
I like Panther Creek, but this is the type of game that if you sleep on Paris, they'll pull the upset off.
Yeah.
Panther Creek still got their in the dirt because of Salina, and they're like mad. No, we should have beat them and all, and they don't pay attention. This Paris Wildcat team has the athleticism and has the ability to beat them. Now, in saying all that, you know, we always talk about when teams go out to Paris, they struggle. Well, when Paris goes into DFW, they tend to struggle. I do think Panther Creek wins this. I don't think it's a blowout, though. I think this is going to be way closer than what people think.
Yeah, same here. All right, Lubbock Liberty at 5-0, taking on 5-0 Midland Greenwood. This is in Greenwood. I like Greenwood in this. Lincoln Madrid, the quarterback. Nathaniel Romero, the running back. Just a great 1-2 punch for that Greenwood Ranger offense, and the defense is not too shabby either. I think Greenwood is rounding into a darn good football team.
You know, Lubbock Liberty last year, first year as a program, 2-8, but we all said let's get them a year into the program. They returned 22 starters, and they returned 22 pretty solid starters. They've started out the year 5-0. They've given up more than 12 points only once, and that was against Seminole when they boat raced them 63-27. This is the, you know, I like Midland Greenwood, but this is a game that has trap written all over it. It's the last game before district. I think it's the last game before a bye for Greenwood, and the Patriots are very talented. I think Greenwood wins, but I think this is going to be a really close game.
Yeah, I like Greenwood by 10-14.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Isn't it fitting that a man like Ben Franklin, who was a fighter for liberty, probably ended up getting in the 1700s a disease back then that was probably called Greenwood? Mr. Franklin, sir, yes, bifocals are great, and that key on the kite string was genius, but you got to stop banging French prostitutes. Really? I don't think I do. I'm starting a country founded on liberty and doing what you want. But, sir, you're going to end up with a Greenwood. You're damn right I am. God bless America. Now point that boat to Paris. Give me liberty or give me death. That was a pretty good one.
That's a long way around to pick Lubbock Liberty incorrectly, but okay.
You see, this is like nostalgic to me because people might not remember back when we first started this. He used to go after you, and then one year you're like, "Hey, would you mind reading these for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. You've always read them." And then I realized why, because he tends to focus on whoever's reading what he's.
I just don't understand. Does he not know you have a mother too?
Do I?
Yes, you do. Bev, come on, man.
My dad's always said he never knew who my mother was. Could have been 5 different women from what he told me.
Did she take a DNA test to make sure you're hers?
Yeah. I got to give my mom a hard time. She's a Washington and Aggie fan, so obviously she's not perfect.
She's just doing that as a contrarian to y'all.
The Washington side, that's true. She literally was like, yeah, Dad's family was all Cowboy fans, and it annoyed me. So we killed her in the 70s, and so I became a Washington fan. So I actually got to respect that. That's pretty funny.
All right, the last one of the night is maybe a dandy, maybe the best game of the week here in Class 4A. Sinton versus Cal Allen. Sinton's running back, Micaiah Green, has already ran for almost 1,100 yards.
Yeah, this was a game that if we didn't already have the college stuff that we really want to do on Saturday, we would probably go to, but this is a haul for us. Again, we're all the way up in Dallas. You know, a lot of people said Sinton was going to take a step back this year because they were only bringing back 3 on defense. They did have a good crew coming back on offense, mainly Micaiah Green. And I like, you know, Sinton's one of those programs. Michael Troutman has done a good job, and we talked about this with other teams. He takes what he gets talent-wise. If he has a better quarterback, he'll throw the ball. If he has a better running back, he'll grind you down, and he's going to grind you down with Green. In saying that, I have been impressed with Cal Allen and how
they're throwing it a lot more this year. Lockerman, the quarterback,
over the year and a half that they made the big change, and some programs take to it like Wall has, like Alvarado has, and then some teams struggle like Paul Pewitt. The couple times Paul Pewitt and down in 2A's tried to change things, it just doesn't work. For Cal Allen, it has worked. I have no feel for this game in a good way. I think this is a back and forth game. I'm simply going Cal Allen because they're at home, but it's a one possession game.
Yeah, it is one possession. Since you went Cal Allen, you went the Wildcats. I'll go.
I have no problem with that. This is one of those games that, as long as it's within 2 possessions, I won't be surprised how it ends up. All right, let's finish it up with what Coach X has to say. The Coastal Bend big game of the week, and rightly so, Sinton Pirates versus Cal Allen Wildcats. Hey, how come when a team in the Pirates, they always have a mascot with a hook hand and a peg leg? Were there any Pirates that couldn't afford the hook hand and just had to use the nub? I think I could take a one-legged, one-handed man more easily than a two-legged, two-handed Pirate. Surely there's some Pirates that didn't lose a leg or a hand, but those guys probably got scurvy or something. So just throw them an orange and kick the ass. Sinton wins. By the way, sorry, Sinton. By the way, though, if you'd have told me 15 years ago that Cal Allen versus Sinton would be bigger than Cal Allen versus Gregory Portland, I'd tell you how crazy you were. All right. Yeah, right. Is that it?
I believe that's it.
We do appreciate everybody for joining us on this interesting, different episode. Again, some of these weeks I'm trying to give Grant some relief. I know people don't know a lot about where they just know we live in Dallas Fort Worth, but we don't really live close. And Grant, to come to the studio, has to drive across the Metroplex at the worst time possible, and then leave the studio. He has to drive back across the Metroplex. So we're trying to give him some of these road games, as Coach X called it before, and I do appreciate everybody understanding that. Other than that, man, have some fun watching football this week, and we'll be back next week. Sideline to Sideline, the 4A-3A-2A edition, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus right here on L4 Media.
Things got tough.